What's up, and welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. Today I'm going to show you what went into the making of kind of an electro house inspired minimal techno song on the Novation Circuit Rhythm. And I'll be jamming out the full track at the very end, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But let's not waste time, let's just jump right into it. Alright, starting off with the drums, we've got this super punchy kick. There's a little bit of a tail to it. I think I've cut some of that off, just dialing the slope this way to shorten the kick ever so slightly. There's still a good bit of low end trailing off there. So I wanted to make sure it worked well with the bass. That meshes fairly well, so I'll come back to this. Clap. Super dry. Nice short little sample. And once again, I've actually shortened this further to have it be really tight and punchy. I should note, I've showed this a bunch of times. I never get tired of showing it because it's a great little tip. You'll notice this is hitting a little bit early, and I'm using the micro steps to bump it forward. So the effect that this is having is that the clap is hitting ever so slightly before the kick. Very common technique with sounds like this. Creates a little bit of a flam and often helps enhance the punch of both elements, which it definitely does in this case. Open hi-hat, super simple. 909 style hi-hat. These are fun. This is a couple of like different 808 hi-hats using sample flip, so switching back and forth. And then you can hear that little ping-ponging delay that I've got sent to this. These samples are super short, and those hi-hats are side-chained to the kick. So it almost makes them sound a little bit more like a shaker because those attacks get doled somewhat. Oh, you know, we'll come back to that one. But up next, let's actually talk about this bass. This is sampled from my Arturia Microfreak. This is a self-made patch. I actually went in and sampled a bunch of stuff. Just all in one session. And then just used it as a part of this pack that I kind of built from the ground up. Fairly heavy sidechain. And I've got like a tiny bit of distortion. This is sent to the reverb a little bit just to kind of enhance it a tad, but it's fairly dry, fairly in your face. Just a nice Microfreak bass patch, in my opinion. Doing a simple little bass line. It's a good foundation to build off of. This is also a Microfreak sound. But I've done some stuff to the slope. So I've shortened it a bit. There's a weird little pop at the end of that. That gets covered up in the mix, fortunately. Now you can really hear its original Microfreak nature. And that distortion, I think, brings it to life and, oddly enough, makes it sound a little bit more polished. These are kind of playing similar notes to a degree. So I've got this little call and response thing going on here. That's the call. This is a fun little element. And there are actually two elements that I'm switching between as well. So we've got this kick 808 thing. I think that's an 808 sample. And then this saw bass. And notice I've got a little bit of low pass filter automation at the very end here. Just to add a bit of movement. And this is distorted quite a bit more than this is. So I've got basically two tracks living on one track, and they're never going to play at the same time, and there's quite a bit of distance between them, so I can just get away with that using switching between samples via sample flip and automation of my distortion and filters. This is sidechained as well. This is a very rhythmically focused track. And on top of all that, another fairly percussive element. I've got it sent to the reverb a bit and the ping-ponging delay quite a bit, and I should just show you that's this delay right here. Little tiny bit of distortion just to add a little bit of saturation, and I've got the lows cut pretty substantially because this is still a fairly low element, so I don't want my low end to get just muddied up by throwing a ton of elements at this track all at once. This element, the super low bass, is what needs to be really holding down that low end, that and the kick. Everything else has been filtered a bit to cut some of those lows to keep my mix as clean as possible. And that is actually enough, I think, to build up a bit of an arrangement, at least a fairly short one, and I like to keep my tracks a bit on the shorter side anyway. So I'm going to take a stab at jamming this out live. Hopefully, now that you've seen all the individual elements, you can kind of get a better understanding of what I'm doing to jam this out. Hopefully you enjoy. If you'd like to see some more Novation Circuit Rhythm and some more minimal techno, you can click or tap up over here somewhere, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching.